The world of dreams, myths, and strange happenings is far from ordinary. Endless beings, magical realms, and unlikely humans collide in ways that are equal parts fascinating and chaotic. From mortals wrestling with their own mortality to gods and spirits balancing responsibilities that span centuries, nothing is ever quite as simple as it seems. A man drives while slowly drifting to sleep. As he does, a raven soars into another realm, the world of dreams, where we meet the king of dreams himself, Lord Morpheus. He must leave his realm to capture a nightmare that escaped into the real world. Though warned that dreams fade outside their realm, Morpheus goes anyway, showing his strength and purpose. Meanwhile, the man, Dr. Hathaway, visits Roderick and his son, Alex. Both Hathaway and Roderick mourn their lost sons, and Roderick plans to trap Death to bring them back. But when Morpheus appears in the waking world, he's captured by their ritual instead. His imprisonment sparks a strange sleeping sickness across the globe. A mysterious figure named the Corinthian visits Roderick and reveals the existence of the Endless, a group including desire, despair, death, and dream. Roderick steals Morpheus's powerful items, using them to gain fame and wealth. Years pass, and Alex grows up under his father's control. During an argument, Roderick's cruelty drives Alex to accidentally kill a raven trying to free Morpheus, a heartbreaking moment that seals his guilt. Roderick's mistress, Ethel, escapes with Morpheus's stolen artifacts and later gives birth to her son, Jonathan. Time moves on, and after years of tension, Alex's anger leads to Roderick's death inside the glass prison. When a guard falls asleep, Morpheus enters his dream and finally breaks free. He returns to find his realm ruined and empty. Determined, Morpheus vows to rebuild everything that was lost. Morpheus walks through the ruins of his once beautiful castle, now crumbled and lifeless. The only one left is Lucien, his loyal librarian, who never lost faith in his return. The dreaming mirrors his pain, its decay showing how broken he became while trapped for so long. Weak and powerless, he tries to restore it but fails. To regain his strength, he must recover his lost items, his sand, mask, and ruby. He refuses to call for help from his siblings, saying they all knew of his capture but chose silence. Still, their presence looms, hinting they'll appear soon. Among the ruins, one piece of beauty remains Gregory, a dragon-like gargoyle as playful as a dog. Sadly, for the dreaming to heal, Morpheus must reabsorb Gregory, breaking the hearts of his caretakers. Meanwhile, the Corinthian visits a confident art dealer, revealed to be Ethel, who escaped decades ago with Morpheus's tools. Now, older and powerful, she fears his return, knowing he'll seek revenge and possibly target her son John. Morpheus begins his quest, calling upon the mysterious fates by offering tokens from dreams and nightmares. They allow him 3 questions. His sand now belongs to Constantine, his mask was traded to a demon, and his ruby lies with John. Before leaving, a small gargoyle egg hatches into adorable Goldie, a new spark of hope. Ethel's amulet protects her when Corinthian attacks, reversing his strike. As Morpheus heads to London for his tools, Corinthian defies him, returning to the waking world once more. Constantine walks through an empty nightclub, performing an exorcism that nearly goes wrong when a demon takes a young girl named Astra, but it turns out to be just a dream, a memory that still haunts her. In reality, Constantine is a skilled exorcist who works for powerful clients, including the church and even royalty. At a royal wedding, she drives out a demon named Agaliath from the groom, proving her reputation is well earned. Meanwhile, Morpheus searches for his missing pouch of dream sand and tracks it to Constantine. She admits she sold it, so the two team up to recover it. They're soon joined by Matthew, a talkative raven who becomes Morpheus's loyal companion. Elsewhere, Ethel finally faces her son John after years of lies. John demands the truth about his past and the ruby that can shape reality itself. Ethel gives him her powerful protection amulet, telling him it's all he'll ever need. Moments later, she ages rapidly and dies in his arms, her curse finally ending. When guards rush in, John uses the amulet's power to destroy them and calmly walks free, only to meet the Corinthian, who greets him with eerie kindness. Morpheus and Constantine find her ex-girlfriend Rachel, who has been corrupted by the dream sand and lies dying. Morpheus gently ends her suffering, earning Constantine's reluctant respect. As rain falls, Constantine walks away while Morpheus, Matthew, and the raven set out on their next journey into the depths of hell. Morpheus and his raven, Matthew, descend into hell, but they can't enter without permission. When the gates open, haunting creatures and eerie visuals fill the realm. Meanwhile, John wanders aimlessly through the streets until a kind woman named Rosemary offers him a ride. As they drive, he confesses to killing people who tried to steal his ruby, his obsession growing stronger by the minute. In hell, Morpheus passes through forests made of bodies on his way to meet Lucifer. Along the way, he encounters Nada, a past lover he once condemned to hell. Showing his colder side, finally, he faces the demon holding his lost helm. To win it back, he must battle for it, and Lucifer steps in to fight on the demon's behalf. Back on Earth, Rosemary stops at a gas station to secretly call for help, but John catches on. He kills the clerk yet spares her, saying he won't hurt her as long as she drives him to his ruby. In hell, the fight begins. Lucifer and Morpheus take turns transforming through imagination, predator against prey, death against life, until Lucifer begins becomes darkness itself. Weak but defiant, Morpheus declares himself hope, something even darkness can't destroy. The crowd cheers as he wins, reclaiming his helm. Furious, Lucifer vows revenge but allows him to leave. With his strength restored, Morpheus locates the ruby, but it reacts violently, knocking him unconscious. Moments later, John arrives, reclaiming it at last. Before leaving, he spares Rosemary and gives her the amulet, promising he'll use his power to save the world. John sits in a quiet diner, talking with a kind waitress named Bet about creating a more honest world. As she serves customers and chats politely, John studies her, realizing how much people lie to keep life comfortable, even about small things. When she returns to his table, he tells her that every story ends in death and uses his ruby to make her tell the truth. Soon, everyone in the diner begins revealing their real thoughts and desires. Secrets spill out. Bet's boss is seeing her son, Bet hides her feelings for women, and the couple at the counter isn't truly happy. What begins as honesty quickly turns into chaos. People lose control, their darkest sides exposed. John watches, heartbroken, believing he's freeing them from lies, but instead witnessing madness take over. Bet is the last one left, begging John to explain how this world of truth is any better. He tells her to accept the darkness, and she obeys, ending her life as the diner falls silent. Elsewhere, Morpheus awakens and confronts John, explaining that the ruby wasn't made to save humanity. It was stealing his own power and twisting dreams into nightmares. John insists that dreams are lies, so Morpheus pulls him into the dreaming. In their struggle, John shatters the ruby, unknowingly releasing Morpheus's full strength. Restored at last, Morpheus shows mercy, placing John gently back into his hospital bed and restoring peace to the waking world. As calm returns, a mysterious woman watches from the street, smiling and whispering, "I'm watching you, big brother." Morpheus sits quietly in a park feeding pigeons, reflecting on everything he's endured since his capture. Even after reclaiming his lost items, he feels nothing, just emptiness. His sister, Death, soon joins him, her warmth and humor contrasting his gloom. As they walk together, she gently guides souls to the afterlife, starting with an old man playing his violin. Then she takes a young father, and finally a small child, each passing more emotional than the last. Through it all, Death reminds him that her work, though painful, is a gift, proof that endings are just as natural as beginnings. Her compassion helps Morpheus see his own purpose more clearly. Renewed, he leaves her and visits an old pub where centuries ago, he met a man named Hob who wished to live forever. Dream granted his request, visiting him every 100 years to see if he'd had enough of life. Across centuries, through riches, ruin, and war, Hob always chooses to keep living. In the 1800s, Hob accuses Morpheus of returning not out of duty, but loneliness. Hurt, Morpheus leaves and vows never to return. A century later, while imprisoned, he misses their meeting. Now free, he finds Hob waiting for him in a nearby pub, unchanged and smiling. The reunion is simple yet heartwarming, reminding Morpheus that even endless beings need connection. Meanwhile, Desire dreams striking and dangerous sibling, watching from afar, hinting that their next move might not be as kind. A young woman named Rose is separated from her little brother Jed after their family falls apart. Far away, Desire and her twin sister Despair plot against their brother Dream. They talk about something called a Dream Vortex, a person who can draw dreamers together, and that vortex happens to be Rose, who doesn't yet know what she is. Now 21, Rose is desperate to find Jed, but with no job or money, her search feels impossible. After her mother's passing, she's invited to England by a mysterious foundation interested in her family. Meanwhile, Dream learns that 3 beings have gone missing from his realm: Galt the shapeshifter, Fiddler's Green, and the dangerous Corinthian, who's still out in the waking world preying on humans. Dream suspects the vortex's power could destroy the balance between reality and dreams, but he can't act yet, so his raven, Matthew, keeps watch. In England, Rose meets Unity, her great-grandmother, who once fell asleep as a child and only just awoke, with a dream-born family that turned out to be real. As Rose bonds with her, Corinthian discovers she exists and begins hunting. Her Rose's powers grow stronger, attracting attention from dark forces. Unity helps her travel to Florida to find Jed, while Corinthian manipulates a group of serial killers to his advantage. As Dream searches for Jed in vain, Rose unexpectedly crosses into the dreaming, facing Dream himself. Meanwhile, Jed's cruel uncle traps him as he tries to escape, leaving his fate uncertain. Rose meets Morpheus and demands to know what he knows about her missing brother Jed. He explains that she's a dream vortex, someone who can move through other people's dreams, and says they can use her power to find him. Meanwhile, Jed lives a lonely life locked in a filthy basement by his abusive foster parents. In his dreams, he escapes by imagining himself as a superhero called the Sandman, guided by Galt, a shape-shifting nightmare who poses as realizes Mother Galt may be a nightmare, but she clearly cares for Jed, wanting to protect him from his cruel reality. Rose tries to track Jed down through the foster system, but the agency refuses to help. When they visit Jed's home, he secretly tries to slip a note for help into the worker's bag, only for his foster dad to find it, ready to hurt him again. Before he can, the Corinthian, posing as a journalist, shows up in Florida, searching for Jed after tricking Unity into giving him information about Rose. He kills the social worker and heads straight for the house. While Rose searches through dreams and finally reaches Jed's, Morpheus finds Galt and captures her, punishing her for defying her role. Meanwhile, Lyta's dream of living with her late husband becomes so real that she wakes up pregnant, proving the line between dreams and reality is fading fast. Jed wakes to chaos as Corinthian appears, claiming Rose sent him. They drive off together, with Corinthian grinning, eager to finally meet her. Rose and Lyta begin to realize that their dreams are starting to come true. Rose's growing power as a dream vortex is breaking down the barrier between dreams and reality, and Lyta admits she'd rather stay in her dream life with her late husband, Hector, and their unborn child. But as the dreaming begins to quake and crumble, even Lyta's perfect world starts to fall apart. In the dreaming, tension builds as Morpheus faces doubts from his own realm. Lucian, who's been holding everything together during his absence, earns more trust than he does, something that frustrates him but also forces him to finally listen. Lucian reveals the truth. Rose is the one weakening the dreaming, and Morpheus must act before everything collapses. Meanwhile, Corinthian drives Jed to Georgia for his work thing, which turns out to be the disturbing serial convention filled with real-life serial killers. He calls Rose to meet them there on the way. Rose is joined by Gilbert, her kind travel companion, who insists on tagging along. While she sleeps, Rose drifts into Lyta's dream. Finding her far more pregnant than expected, Morpheus appears and demands that Hector's spirit leave, warning that their dream-born child belongs to him someday. Furious, Rose pushes back with her powers. At the convention, Rose and Gilbert sneak inside using stolen name tags. Gilbert soon realizes the truth about the killers and flees, revealing later that he's actually Fiddler's green chaos erupts when Corinthian turns on his followers, protecting Jed and Rose as danger closes in around them. Corinthian confronts Rose, trying to convince her to join his side, claiming Morpheus will kill them both if he finds them. As Rose grows stronger, the walls between the dreaming and the waking world weaken, allowing Corinthian to physically attack Morpheus. He wants Rose to stay asleep so he can manipulate her dreams into creating a reality ruled by his twisted vision. Rose, however, resists, closing the walls and finding her own path. Morpheus defeats Corinthian, reducing him to a tiny skull, and forces all the serial killers to face the pain and guilt of their actions. Some confess, others take their own lives. While Rose and Jed escape, Morpheus warns he will confront her again once she sleeps. Lyta goes into labor, encouraging Rose that she is strong enough to face him and end the conflict. Rose enters her dreams as the barriers crumble, letting humans into the dreaming. Gilbert transforms back into the beautiful glades, where Rose and Morpheus confront each other. Unity, Rose's great-grandmother, intervenes, explaining that Rose inherited the Vortex role because Morpheus's capture caused her own generation to lose it. Unity sacrifices herself, passing the Heartstone to Rose, and revealing that the father of her child has golden eyes, identifying desire. Morpheus hesitates, but ultimately allows Rose and Jed, descendants of the Endless, to return to the waking world. The dreaming is restored to its former beauty. Morpheus creates a new dream for Galt, fulfilling her wish and bringing balance back to his realm. Rose publishes a book, and the siblings enjoy a happier life. Yet, in hell, Lucifer grows bitter, plotting revenge, and the armies prepare to challenge the dreaming and possibly the waking world, setting the stage for future conflict. In an animated scene of a tiny kitten, it's being tucked into bed by its humans. At night, another cat invites the kitten on an adventure. Along the way, other curious cats join them. They gather at a grave where a beautiful, purebred cat shares her story of once living with humans who killed her kittens. She prayed to the king of cats and dreams, embarking on a perilous journey through darkness and the void to meet the cat of dreams. The cat learns that dreams carry a cost and sees the truth of their world, a place where cats are giants and humans are tiny. Now she travels spreading the message of hope, challenging others to dream of a world without suffering. The kitten returns home, inspired, and the humans watch her dreaming the next morning. The story shifts to August 2018 in the real world. Richard, a writer, is lecturing and later visits an elderly man, Erasmus, who gives him a mass of hair with mystical properties and leads him to a secret room where a woman named Calliope is imprisoned. She is a muse and daughter of Zeus, and Richard promises to free her only after she inspires his next book. Despite her pleas, he locks her in, trying to force creativity. Under pressure from his agent, Richard becomes desperate. Calliope contacts her family, who hint that the dream Dream King Morpheus might help, as he is also imprisoned at this time. Morpheus visits, demanding her release, and Richard's writing spirals out of control, leaving him frantically inscribing stories with bleeding hands. Calliope, now free, asks Morpheus if he still hates her. He forgives her and lifts the madness from Richard, who loses all memory of her. Calliope walks freely into the world, a liberated goddess. The dreaming is finally restored, and Destiny calls a family meeting. Death, dream, desire, despair, and delirium arrive, while the missing Endless stays away. A flashback shows the three sisters, or the Grey Ladies, giving Destiny a prophecy. A king will forsake his kingdom, life and death will clash, and an ancient battle will rise again. In the present, Destiny interprets the upheaval as caused by the family gathering. Morpheus thinks the meeting is pointless and tries to leave. Death and despair attempt to mediate, while desire and delirium challenge him. Upset that he prioritizes the dreaming over family, delirium worries for the missing Endless, but the others dismiss her concerns. Desire provokes Morpheus by bringing up Nada, the queen of the first people who fell in love with him but chose duty over their love. Flashbacks reveal Morpheus, under the name Keikel, falling for Nada because of her selfless devotion to her people. They marry, despite it being forbidden, but a meteor destroys her kingdom, and she chooses penance over eternal love. In the present, Death reminds Morpheus that he punished Nada unjustly for 10,000 years. He realizes his error and resolves to go to hell to free her. Returning to the meeting, Desire hides her disappointment, and the rest try to make the most of the gathering. Morpheus appoints Lucien to oversee the dreaming while he embarks on his mission, sending Cain to warn Lucifer. Who is enraged, he also plans to protect Lyda's baby. His friends, like Hob, notice ominous signs, and millions of demons await in hell, but Morpheus reassures them the dreaming will survive. Destiny watches, knowing all of this is coming, as Morpheus steels himself for the dangerous journey ahead. Morpheus arrives in hell expecting conflict, but finds it empty. Lucifer greets him, seeming sad and defeated. Promising no tricks or harm while locking the gates and having his wings removed, he even gives Morpheus the key to hell. Morpheus soon realizes Lucifer never wanted to rule and has abandoned hell, taking everyone, including Nada, with him. Now, the key is dangerous in the wrong hands, and Morpheus rushes back to the dreaming, panicking as many beings seek to claim it. He tries giving the key to Death, but she reminds him of his first duty, retrieving all the demons and lost souls to prevent chaos. Suddenly, a crowd appears demanding the key, prompting Morpheus to host a grand banquet to decide Hell's next ruler. Attendees include Thor, Odin, Loki, Kilderkin, Chaos, the Japanese sea god Susanoo no Mikoto, and Azazel, along with Fae ambassadors Cluracan and Nula, who bring the Fae tithe. Morpheus observes them carefully as Lucien starts evaluating candidates. Odin wants to manipulate Morpheus using Loki, but the trickster admits his powers are useless in the dreaming. Azazel displays sadistic behavior, Thor clashes with the demon Merkin, and angels Remiel and Duma quietly observe for God. Guests attempt bribes, threats, and pleas. Kilderkin offers dream essence, Chaos threatens, Susanoo no Mikoto makes a sincere case, and Odin proposes helping locate the missing Endless while delaying Ragnarok. Morpheus ends the banquet after Cain and Abel's grim display, narrowing the candidates to 2. At the end, Azazel appears in Morpheus's throne room, offering Choronzon in revenge for past defeats. When Morpheus refuses, Azazel reveals he has Nada and threatens her life unless he receives the key. Morpheus faces a dire choice as the balance of hell hangs in the balance. Lucien argues that Azazel should rule hell since it's his domain, but Morpheus refuses, citing Azazel's greed and unreliability. Later, unable to sleep because of Cluracan's antics, Nula wanders and meets Morpheus. They discuss impossible choices, and she recalls how he once repaired a rift with the Fae. A flashback to 1593 shows Morpheus asking Shakespeare to write a comedy for the Fae, resulting in A Midsummer Night's Dream. The Fae enjoy it, and Titania accepts it as their legacy. Even though King Oberon sees little value, Morpheus explains that the play immortalizes them, holding a mirror to those who underestimate him. Nula recognizes his strategy and insight. The next morning, Morpheus announces his decision. He emphasizes that hell requires a fair ruler and hands the key to the angels to deliver to God. He protects all his guests, including Nada, freeing her while trapping Azazel. This display of authority ensures the other beings accept his choice. Kilderkin, Chaos, and Merkin acknowledge his justice, while Odin welcomes him, and Thor returns to imprison Loki. Cluracan warns Nula that Titania expects loyalty, but Morpheus abolishes the Fae tithe, refusing negotiation. Loki tricks Thor, but Morpheus allows a clever solution that frees both Loki and the sea god, gaining the trickster's debt. Morpheus visits Lucifer, who reassures him they were never angry at him, but at God. He reconnects with Nada for a meal, but their conversation turns tense. She confronts him over his past injustices, refusing to be sent to hell again despite his apologies and promises. She rejects him romantically, leaving Morpheus shocked as she departs to live on Earth freely. Morpheus sulks after Nada rejects him again, imposing a ban on her name, erasing her rooms, and bringing constant rain to the dreaming. His mood lifts slightly when delirium appears, alternating between playful and self-critical. She vents about her family's treatment, and Morpheus apologizes, surprising her. She warns that things will worsen unless the missing Endless returns. Destruction, who abandoned his realm, now spiraling out of control. Delirium admits she first sought Desire and Despair's help, frustrating Morpheus. He blames Desire for planting ideas in her head, but Desire explains they only want her to move on from destruction. Unaware of Desire's scheme, Morpheus joins Delirium in her search, learning she plans to question Destruction's old friends, the ancient mortal lawyer Bernard Capax, Ishtar, the god of sex and war, and the mythic Itane Lucien tries to stop him, but he insists he is encouraging fate to reunite with Nada. Traveling to Earth using Pheromone's mystical transport services, Morpheus mistakes a random woman for Nada. Bernard dies in a construction accident, which Morpheus interprets as a warning from destruction. Though Delirium dismisses it, taking a break, they meet Wanda, who shares her own struggles with family and transition, showing Morpheus he misjudged human resilience. Their next stop is Ishtar's temple-turned-club. She hates Morpheus for past meddling and refuses to reveal Destruction's location. During her performance, Destruction triggers a fire. The club explodes, killing Ishtar and Wanda. Desire arrives, furious at Morpheus for using Delirium and causing deaths. Heartbroken, Delirium realizes why Destruction left, cuts off Desire, and retreats Desire. Outraged at Dream's hypocrisy, severs ties with him as well, leaving Morpheus increasingly isolated. Morpheus tells Lucien he's never been interested in finding Destruction, but someone is pushing him toward it. She thinks understanding why Destruction left would help, and Morpheus admits he ignored his brother's earlier warnings. And a flashback to 1675 London shows Destruction inviting Morpheus to Earth, sharing his love for humanity while lamenting their self-destruction in science's name. Morpheus dismisses this, seeing the Endless as servants to humans rather than caretakers. At present, he wonders why Destruction abandoned humans if he cared, and Lucien suggests it was to avoid guilt and responsibility. Morpheus attends Wanda's funeral, where her conservative family dead-names her and dresses her as a man. With Death's help, he restores her name on the gravestone and ensures she is honored as herself. Death urges Morpheus to check on Delirium, who is struggling with chaos in her realm. Morpheus apologizes sincerely, and she accepts, agreeing to resume their quest without harming anyone, meaning they must seek Destiny's help. Meanwhile, Destruction enjoys his island, avoiding dreams and family. Morpheus visits Destiny's garden to ask for guidance, and Destiny directs him to consult an oracle. Orpheus, Morpheus's son with Calliope. Flashbacks to 1700 BC Greece show Orpheus's tragedy with Eurydice, her death on their wedding day, his failed attempt to save her, and his later dismemberment by Dionysus's cult when he sought revenge. Morpheus preserves Orpheus' head in a temple, refusing to harm him, bound by endless rules. In the present, Morpheus is conflicted but determined. Delirium reminds him paths exist outside Destiny's garden. They plan to ask Orpheus for Destruction's location in exchange for a favor, knowing Morpheus might face the impossible choice of being asked to kill his own son. In 1794, England, Lady Johanna Constantine is visited by Morpheus, 5 years after their first meeting. He tasks her with retrieving Orpheus's severed head, which had ended up in France under Robespierre's guard due to its oracle powers. In Paris, Johanna steals the head, bonding with Orpheus as he expresses how much he misses his father. She cannot reveal Morpheus as her employer. Robespierre arrives the next morning, and Johanna is arrested. Through her dream, Morpheus checks on Orpheus. Johanna shares his lively spirit, and Morpheus suggests a song. Back in the waking world, Johanna hides Orpheus among guillotined heads. On cue, he sings a liberty song, putting the soldiers in a trance, and they escape. Robespierre is soon guillotined. The duo returns to Orpheus's island, where Johanna wishes to spend more time with him. Morpheus deflects her requests and asks for her fee, which is simply more time with Orpheus. Later, Johanna has passed, buried on the island. Delirium joins Morpheus, worried that killing Orpheus might invoke the three sisters' wrath. Despite the risk, Morpheus reunites with his son, offering apologies, and they gain what they came for: Destruction, living on a nearby island. The reunion with Destruction is bittersweet. Delirium asks about his absences, while Morpheus scolds him for abandoning responsibilities. Destruction refuses to return, insisting Destruction exists independently, and leaving to the stars with his dog, Barnabas, asking Delirium to stay safe. Orpheus is relieved when Morpheus returns. The Dream King confesses he initially resisted killing him, but ultimately fulfills his duty. Back in the dreaming, he struggles with grief. Washing blood from his hands, the three sisters learn of the act. The younger two hesitate, but the eldest enforces fate, cutting a thread for Morpheus's punishment. Morpheus meets Destiny, learning that the punishment for killing his son is the end of his existence. By say, he pleads to live for the sake of the dreaming, but Destiny's book is empty. Only his actions and the Fates' decisions will shape his future. The three sisters, the Fates, are made aware of his crime, and Morpheus knows petitions against him will come from many, including Calliope and Desire. Meanwhile, on Earth, chaos unfolds. The Pope unexpectedly welcomes women into the priesthood, a scheme orchestrated by Puck and Loki, who are now dating. Morpheus calls in his favor from Loki, reminding him of past debts Loki begrudgingly obeys, but plans to bend the rules with Puck's guidance, creating mischief while circumventing Morpheus's control. Back in the dreaming, the residents try to prepare for the Fates' arrival, though Morpheus accepts his fate, revealing Daniel, Lyta, and Rose's child will be his successor. Rose and Lyta visit Unity in London, leaving Daniel behind briefly, where Puck seizes the opportunity to kidnap him. Morpheus seeks guidance from his parents, Time and Night. Time is distant and unhelpful, while Night offers refuge, which he declines. Nula urges the dreaming residents to train for protection. Cluracan reports that Titania wants Nula back, but she refuses, disappointed that her plan to influence the law failed. Morpheus gives Nula a necklace as a parting gift, promising a boon if needed. He offers the dreaming residents an escape, but they stay loyal, knowing Daniel is the future Dream King. The story ends with Daniel in Puck and Loki's hands, setting the stage for the challenges ahead as Morpheus faces the consequences of his past and the looming power of the Fates. Nula reveals her plan to build a fairy army to aid Morpheus, and Cluracan helps by restoring her glamour, though he worries about displeasing Queen Titania, who remains manipulative and uninterested in the mission, though she eyes the necklace Morpheus gave Nula. Morpheus, having accepted his fate, visits Despair, who expresses sorrow and admits she cared for Orpheus. Morpheus regrets not being there for her and hopes Daniel will be a better sibling to her. Suddenly, a grieving Lyta appears, blaming Morpheus for Daniel's disappearance. Puck and Loki arrive as supposed investigators, with Puck contaminating the scene using Morpheus' sand symbol, fueling suspicion. Lucien warns Morpheus that the kidnapping is a trap in the waking world and convinces him to enlist a mortal agent. He approaches Johanna, offering her Lady Johanna's diary in exchange for rescuing Daniel. She is surprised to learn the diary hints at a past relationship with Orpheus. Meanwhile, at Unity's home, Lyta meets the Fates, who subtly guide her about Daniel's kidnappers. As Johanna investigates, Morpheus insists on accompanying her for safety. They find Alex Burgess in eternal sleep. Morpheus refuses to release him at first. He confronts Lyta, who warns him not to endanger Daniel and drives him out. Puck takes Daniel, declaring the child isn't a pawn, and Loki secretly manipulates events, ultimately deceiving Morpheus and Lyta about Daniel's fate. Back in the dreaming, Morpheus begins a risky project. Using Corinthian's skull, he creates a new version, Corinthian 2.0, assuring Lucien and Matthew that this one is safer while preparing for the challenges ahead. Morpheus introduces Corinthian 2.0, a new nightmare with fragments of the original. Though powerful, he is still a novice and takes Morpheus's word literally. Johanna becomes his babysitter and is given a pendant to unmake Corinthian if needed. While Corinthian is snarky, he is harmless. On Earth, Loki and Puck cause chaos. Mrs. Shore presses Loki about Daniel's supposed death, but Lyta sends her away. Loki manipulates events and kills her, while Puck struggles with the consequences of Daniel's fire-activated powers. Meanwhile, Barnabas, Destruction's dog, is missing, leaving Delirium lonely and prompting her to seek a quest. Destiny warns her of dangers, but she persuades Morpheus to help, and he lends Goldie. Back in the dreaming, Morpheus hides from grief, and Lucien encourages him to tackle pending realm matters. Corinthian and Johanna bicker while searching for Loki, accidentally alerting Odin. Puck discovers Daniel alive, now imbued with Dream's powers, and leaves in frustration over Loki's betrayal. Corinthian uses Mrs. Shore's eyes to locate Loki, and he and Johanna attempt a ruse, but Puck anticipates it, leaving them a key before departing. Delirium convinces Morpheus to join her quest after revealing multiple conflicting visions of his future. Meanwhile, Lyta is guided by the Fates, plotting revenge. Johanna reluctantly entrusts Daniel and the pendant to Corinthian, recognizing the child is now Dream, hinting at her growing attachment to the nightmare. Nula betrays Morpheus by giving Titania the necklace, summoning him to the dreaming. Destiny confirms Morpheus' future is set. Gilbert witnesses the Fates manipulating Lyta, and despite the dreaming's protections, Lyta kills him, causing Fiddler's green to crumble, leaving the realm in peril. Lyta, under the Fates' control, kills Abel but seems to regain herself when the sword leaves her hand. The Fates push her again, and she becomes their puppet once more. Mervyn tries to intervene, firing at the Fates, but his bullets ricochet, killing him. Corinthian, Daniel, Cain, and Lucien take shelter in the throne room, while Matthew barely makes it back. Morpheus remains trapped in Fairy until Nula uses her boon to send him back to the dreaming. He arrives just in time to save his palace gatekeepers and reunites Lyta with Daniel. The Fates freeze her, claiming Daniel is no longer human, but Morpheus temporarily frees her. The desperate Fates back down, waiting for the next petition for Daniel's life. Morpheus rushes to the waking world, ready to stop Lyta, but Hetty protects her, explaining that killing Lyta would make Daniel uncooperative. Realizing she is right, Morpheus refrains. Meanwhile, Nuala removes her glamour and departs Fairy after a bittersweet farewell with Cluracan. Goldie and Delirium search for Barnabas on Earth using clever disguises. While in the dreaming, Morpheus prepares to confront the Fates at the furthest edge. The realm's subjects gather for a tearful farewell. Lyta continues her chaos under the Fates' influence, forcing Morpheus to call death. Titania gifts Nuala a sword to aid Morpheus. At the edge, Morpheus admits he cannot abandon his responsibilities despite wanting to. Nuala arrives, removing Lyta from the dreaming and allowing a light to shine between Death and Morpheus. Goldie disappears, and Hetty tends to Barnabas and Delirium. Lyta learns she has lost Daniel for good. With the threat gone, the dreaming restores itself. Daniel, now grown, appears as the new dream, stepping into his role and bringing hope to the realm. The dreaming mourns Morpheus's passing, struggling to accept Daniel as the new dream, though Corinthian 2.0 sympathizes since Daniel carries fragments of Morpheus. Cain asks Daniel to revive Abel, which he does effortlessly. Unsure of his role, Daniel seeks guidance from Lucienne, who apologizes and suggests a replacement mentor. Leaving to welcome guests, including Johanna, Alex, and Hob, struggles with Morpheus's death and finds solace in Lucienne, who also has difficulty accepting Daniel as Dream. Corinthian approaches Johanna, sharing that he is different because Morpheus was different when recreated. Alone and seeking comfort, he hints at feelings, which Johanna cautiously reciprocates. Rose panics seeing Corinthian while Hetty checks on the guests. Nuala worries about being recalled to Fairy, but Cluracan reassures her that the dreaming is now home. Other attendees include Titania, Calliope, Puck, Lord Susan O, and Nada. Daniel works to rebuild Merv and Gilbert, hoping they can guide him. Gilbert wants to be erased again, but assures Daniel he will be a good dream. The Endless arrive for the funeral. Destruction secretly visits, admitting he doesn't know how to guide Daniel yet. The funeral is interrupted by Lyta, calmed by Rose. Each Endless speaks of missing Morpheus and witnessing his growth. Lucienne honors him on behalf of the dreaming. Destruction gives Daniel a coin, symbolizing his link to both dreaming and reality. Death concludes by urging stories of dreams to keep Morpheus alive. Inspired, Johanna seeks Corinthian, and they share a tentative kiss. Daniel reconciles with Lyta, agreeing to meet in dreams rather than dwell on blame. Lucienne becomes his prime minister. Hob continues centennial meetings, and Daniel is welcomed by the Endless. A post-credit scene shows the Fates noting that everything changes, nothing lasts forever. Sexton, an environmental journalist, struggles with hopelessness as the world seems doomed. He tries to write a suicide note for his ex, Sylvie, but is interrupted when his roommate Billy arrives with her girlfriend, Amelia, later. While wandering through a dump of abandoned books and memorabilia, he trips and is rescued by Death, who introduces herself as Dee Dee. Curious and unsettled by her honesty, Sexton learns that she takes a day off every 100 years to experience human life. Their day together is interrupted when Hetty uses Sexton to force Dee Dee to locate her soul. Despite the chaos, Dee Dee's enthusiasm and bubbly nature bring light to Sexton's cynicism. She leads him to Sylvie's regular club, where they encounter Billy, Amelia, and their friend Jackie. Sexton, protective of Dee Dee, tries to shield her from Sylvie and her reckless friend Theo, while mediating disputes between Billy and Amelia. Dee Dee dances with Theo, seeing the best in people, while Sexton sulks. In a moment of vulnerability, he admits he's suicidal, and Jackie opens up about her own past attempt, grateful to be alive. Later, Theo traps Dee Dee and Sexton, attempting to resurrect his deceased girlfriend, Natalie. Sexton prevents Theo from dying by suicide, and paramedics take him away. The following day, Dee Dee and Sexton visit a jewelry stall where she buys a pendant for Hetty. She experiences the fleeting nature of human life before her heart stops. Hetty preserves Dee Dee's soul in the pendant and promises Sexton she will return in 100 years. Sexton shares everything with Billy, deletes his suicide note, and reconnects with friends. Dee Dee awakens in Death's realm, cherishing her brief mortal life and holding on to the experience while her endless version looks on with a sad, knowing smile. From chaos in the waking world to cosmic sibling drama, our journey through dreams, mischief, and questionable decisions comes to a close, for now. Remember, in a universe like this, expect the unexpected, and maybe keep a pendant or two handy just in case. See you in the next recap.